Okay, now let me take you further to the next very important macronutrients, and that is proteins. To my mind, in an Indian scenario, proteins are very, very important because almost every Indian diet, vegetarian or non-vegetarian, is protein insufficient. If I calculate the protein intake of an average Indian diet, I'll find very few people who would be crossing 1 gram per kg ideal body weight. So, let's understand that considering that majority of Indians are vegetarians, and even the ones who are non-vegetarians are not the strict non-vegetarians who would be consuming non-veg all the 3 meals in the day. So somewhere protein is one nutrient which kind of gets neglected. And we need to be consciously aware to look at where the protein is in our diet. Now, first of all, let me come back to where I said in my last session that protein is a specialized nutrient, so we definitely need it in good quantity because it does specialized jobs in the body. What are those specialized jobs? It helps you build the muscle, it helps you build immunity, it helps you build cell integrity, it helps you build everything which is needed for a good metabolism and all the regulatory functions which are happening in the body. So, if we want our body to be healthy, we should be having adequate amount of protein. Now, what is adequate? Adequacy again depends on our age, our sex, our level of physical activity, our physiological state. So each of these conditions will vary our protein intake. The third thing is that if we are talking about protein, then it is very important that whatever protein we provide to our body should be very well assimilated. Assimilated means utilized. So what determines this? Remember, proteins are made up of components which are called amino acids. And some of these amino acids can be synthesized in the body, but some of them are essential. That means they have to be obtained from food. And that is where our prudence comes in. So, it is not all the foods will be containing all essential amino acids. There could be some foods which we call as complete protein foods, whether it is egg, milk, animal foods. They do contain not only good quantity of protein but all essential amino acids. But we do get proteins from pulses, we get proteins from nuts, we get proteins from cereals, but these proteins are partially complete. So, if we want to get the quantity and the quality, we must make sure that we have a balance of these two categories of protein. And why is it necessary? Because unless and until we provide all essential amino acids to the body is not in a position to put the protein for anabolic purposes. Right? Now comes the fact that can we only live on proteins? Should we overdo on proteins because it's so good? No. We don't need to underdo, neither we need to overdo. We need to take good or adequate amount of protein depending on what our needs are. And the second thing which is very important is, remember, proteins get utilized in the body better if they are supported by carbohydrates. So there is something called carbohydrate to protein ratio. So whenever we look at our food, if it is only protein, I think we are not helping our body utilize it well. So we must support a protein with carbohydrate. Of course, we need to create this ratio. We need to know how much carbohydrate, so that this carbohydrate is sparing the protein for the purpose of bodybuilding and specialized functions, and the protein is not getting used as a source of energy. Remember friends, using protein as a source of energy is like wasting a resource. Now let me take you to the other extent. There are some category of people or some individuals who tend to overemphasize on protein. I already told you that protein, if in excess, leads to the production of metabolic end products, which can strain your liver, which can strain your kidney. And to my mind, more than heart, the most important organ which maintains your metabolic balance is your kidney and liver. So, and these are the organs which also take in a lot of abuse. So they don't tell you that they are getting abused on day one, but it is only over a period of time that they are in a position to communicate to you that they have been abused and there is going to be a metabolic imbalance in the body. So, what is the answer? The answer is that we definitely need to prioritize protein. We definitely need to get good quantity and quality of protein. And as an Indian, like I said, if the carbohydrates are rationed, so whenever we serve ourselves, we must look at 2-3 things in our plate. One, where is my fiber? What is fiber? Fiber is coming from your vegetables. Okay, fiber is coming from your carbohydrates which are enriched with fiber. Fiber is coming from your pulses which are not only giving you protein but they are giving you fiber. The second is, where is my protein in the plate? And then where is my rationed carbohydrate in the plate? Remember one fundamental principle of looking at your plate when you serve. Divide it into 4 parts. 2 of the parts should be your vegetables, cooked or raw. So that's where your fiber, your antioxidants are coming. 1 part should be your protein, which can be an egg, which can be a lean cut of chicken, which can be curd, which can be milk-based product, and it's only 1 portion which should be the rationed but good quality of carbohydrate. Now, if we overdo on proteins, if 3 parts of our plate is protein and only 1 part is carbohydrate, so what have we done? We have eliminated fiber completely. So we are overdoing on protein, which is again not a good idea. So have protein all the meals and distribute your protein. Not having too much protein in one meal, distribute your protein throughout the day. Support it with fiber and carbohydrates so that it's better utilized. One more thing which I would like to say is that good amount of protein taken in breakfast gives you lesser rise in your blood sugars. So your blood sugars get better controlled. Good amount of protein taken in the dinner also helps you minimize the spike of sugars at night. So it's very, very important that we emphasize proteins breakfast, lunch, snacks and dinner, but breakfast, dinner become very, very important meals. And thirdly, whenever you work out, the post-workout meal, if it is high in protein, it really helps you, in the muscle repair in a big way. So let's summarize by saying, what are the good quality protein sources? Like I said, the complete protein would be egg, lean meats, whether it is chicken, fish or lean cuts of meat. Lean as in devoid of fat, because we want the protein but we don't want the fat. Then after this comes your soya bean, which is again the protein, like 100 grams of protein of soya bean gives close to 45%, 43% of protein. All your pulses give you in the range of 20 to 25 grams of protein, 100 grams. And one katori of your dal gives you around about 7 grams. So I help you to quantify the protein. One egg gives you 7 grams of protein. About 50 grams of your chicken, which is like a handful of peas, will give you about 7 grams of protein. 4 pieces of paneer will give you 7 grams of protein. 1 katori of dal will give you 7 grams of protein. A handful of nuts will give you 3 to 4 grams of protein. Your 1 chapati will give you 2 to 3 grams of protein. This is just to give you an idea that all these foods are giving you protein. Even in vegetables, like peas are giving you protein, beans are giving you protein. So even your vegetables are contributing to protein. But the fact still remains that we need the protein, but we need the goodness of protein without extra fat, which may be coming as a part of the food or which may add while handling that food. For example, if I use fish and if I subject it to frying, then I don't think so we are doing good to the protein. We are getting protein from the fish, but we are adding a whole lot of fat, which is not a good idea. So remember, proteins need to be taken in good quantity. Complete proteins need to be taken, and they need to be taken with adequate amount of fiber and rationed amount of carbohydrates.